Media attention has turned towards the Benghazi scandal in the past several days in the build-up to today's hearings, in which 3 State Department whistleblowers were set to testify regarding the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Libya on September 11, 2012. The attack claimed the lives of 4 Americans. Some are claiming that the situation has the potential to take down the Obama administration. Others assert that this is unrealistic, but that it may damage Hillary Clinton's presidential ambitions in 2016. But politics aside, what's the real story here? Well, first of all, let's put this into perspective. 4 Americans were killed. Yes, this is a tragedy for the families of these men, and if there is a cover-up, then they deserve to know the truth. However, let's not forget that this event came right after the U.S. and NATO toppled the Libyan government, a move which caused the death of up to 50,000 people by some estimates, and which seriously destabilized the country. The attention and the outrage surrounding these 4 American deaths, compared to the total apathy for the suffering inflicted upon the Libyan people, reflects a deep moral distortion. And this tunnel vision actually ensures that these kinds of tragedies will continue. The attack on Benghazi in particular would not have occurred at all if the U.S. had not invaded. Now, as for the cover-up, the crux of the public version of this scandal lies in the accusation that the ambassadors requested help during the attacks, and though there were troops in the area, they were instructed to stand down. There are also some who are focusing on the fact that Hillary Clinton and others in the Obama administration tried to pretend that the event was merely an escalation of the protest over the innocence of Muslims video. This is where the mainstream media will draw your attention, and this is probably all that will come out in the hearings. Now, if assistance was intentionally denied, you shouldn't expect the U.S. government to come clean about it. They'll deny it to the very end. Because if this is the case, then what that indicates is that someone at the top levels of the State Department had reason to want Ambassador Stevens dead. What could that reason be? Well, retired General Jerry Boykin, former head of U.S. Special Forces Command and former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, has stated this likely had something to do with the fact that the U.S. was funneling weapons to Syrian rebels through Benghazi, and that Stevens was most likely the one in charge of the operation.
There's no question in my mind that we were funneling arms and other types of material to the Libyan rebels there. I think Stevens was heading up that covert action program, and remember that a covert action program is, by definition, is one that ultimately we would deny.
Right.
But it is also only executed after the president signs a finding and the Congress has been briefed on it. So I think Stevens was running guns, is the bottom line. Right. Now, the question is, was this a legal covert action?
Number one question.
That's the first question. Was it a legal covert action? The second question is, then what was Stevens doing there on, September 11th of 2012?
Well,
Our supposition was that he was now funneling guns to the rebel forces in Syria, using essentially the Turks to facilitate that.
Now, did Stevens have a falling out with the administration? Was he about to blow the whistle on U.S. plans to topple Syria? Does this have something to do with the plans to frame the Syrian government for chemical weapons that were exposed in January? If Stevens was in fact in charge of material support to the rebels, as General Boykin asserts, then it follows that he would have known about this operation. Perhaps he didn't approve. Unless there's a real investigation, there's no way of knowing. And the fact that the media and government representatives are focusing on the surface issues here indicates that these hearings won't amount to much. This certainly isn't going to take down the Obama administration. That would only happen if the rule of law actually applied to government officials in the United States, and that's simply not the case. In other news stories this week, the online sales tax bill passed the Senate, but it supposedly faces a challenge in the House. Technically, if the government actually followed the rules, this bill would have already been thrown out for the simple reason that constitutionally, any law relating to taxation is to originate in the House, not in the Senate. This very objection is being used in a lawsuit against the Obama healthcare bill in a case now moving through the courts. However, historically, the government has never been forced to nullify a law on these grounds. Speaking of laws, a new law being drafted by the European Commission, which regulates all seeds and plants entering the Eurozone and imposes a yearly fee to maintain importation rights, has attracted protest. Critics say the law would cut off access to many rare strains such as heirloom vegetable varieties and would favor large agrochemical businesses. This move is part of a larger trend we're seeing worldwide to lock down and monopolize food production. In more humorous news, CNN, which has come under scrutiny several times this year by activists claiming that the company has intentionally falsified reports regarding Sandy Hook and the Boston bombing case, has now gotten caught red-handed faking what is supposed to be an interview conducted over satellite, but which is actually being filmed in the same parking lot. This slip-up was caught by the Atlantic Wire, who noticed that the same cars were passing by in the background while the reporters were talking. If you're going to fake your news reports, at least do it right. And this is just sloppy. Commodity prices for those interested: oil is at $96.30 a barrel, gold is at $14.73 an ounce, and silver is at $23.93 an ounce. If you like this format and you'd like us to do one video a week covering the news in this way, then please let us know in the comments and thumb up the video. If you'd like more content like this, please subscribe to this channel, Storm Clouds Gathering, on YouTube. For updates and bonus content, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/StormCloudsGathering, on Twitter at Collapse Updates, and our website, stormcloudsgathering.com.